Who's there? What a, what a fool. What a wonderful day it is today. Hello, welcome. Please come in. Japan has plenty of seasonal events. It reveals acceptance and appreciation of nature and the joy of life. Which season do you like best? It's hard to choose one. Every season has its pros and cons, but my favorite season is a spring. The smiles are more frequently and laughs, because it's not too rainy like summer, neither too dry like winters, neither too cold nor too warm. After a long cold winter, spring welcomes us with its beautiful colors popping up everywhere, greens and pinks and blues. We can find every color blessing. I also prefer the weather in autumn, delicious autumn. My very soul is wetted, and if I were a bird, I would fly about the earth seekings and the successive autumns. I cannot stand the hot weather at all, and on the Pacific Northwest. Autumn brings the best kind of weather. The air is cool and crisp. The wind is bracing. While parts of the world tended to think of spring as a season of renewal, fall is also a very good time for a fresh start. The vibrant orange colors and cooler weather of autumn appeal to our constant desire for change. Upcoming holidays inspires many to reflect back on the year that was and make plans for the year to come. Temperature and light levels may play a role in determining which season that we love the most. But could our personal preferences also reveal us something about our underlying personality? Any sort of scientific explanation for our personal love of any particular season must also take geographic differences into consideration. Where we live and the weather typical of that region can play a significant role in season preferences. The powerful influence that season can have a mood. The shorter months of winter are known for sometimes cause people to experience a seasonal affective disorder, which is a type of depression. Research has also shown that the onset of spring can actually lead to a temporary boost in positively depending on how much time an individual spends outdoors. Our bodies, circadian rhythms, of the roughly 24 hours cycle of wakefulness and sleepiness is influenced by sunlight. Decreasing the amount of sunlight causes the body to release hormones that triggers periods of lethargy. The lack of sunlight during the fall and the winter months is linked to what is known as a seasonal affective disorder. People who experience symptoms of this disorder may feel depressed during the darker, shorter days of the year. They may also experience fatigue, increased appetite, and loss of interest in activities they usually enjoy. It's really hot and humid in Japan this summer. The measure of this sweltering summer heat is the discomfort index. Japanese would be used to it, but it can still be very uncomfortable. With a few exceptions, most of Japan is in a temperate zone, but one of the features of Japan's climate is rain and more rain. There is a belief that spring and summers are the season for love, while fall is when depressing the break-up songs and their popularities. Interestingly, Facebook can provide some insight into this issue and that the website tracks the changes in relationship status across the calendar. Warming up in everyday life are likely to be an effective strategy for giving our mood a little boost, at least the transiently. However, we are unlikely to induce the type of long-term changes in the brain that would be required to bring a lasting relief to patients with major depressions. Even if every seasonal change in years past has been difficult for us, this one can be better. Take time to protect our mental health and watch the transition to autumn and winter becomes the favorite times of year. Do our moods and self-evaluation actually improve with the arrival of spring and summer? In general, the effect of better weather on people's feelings are modest, inconsistent, and at times counted the commonly held expectation. Moreover, warmer weather seems associated with breakups and more antisocial behavior. Yet there can be benefits not only directed for people who suffer from SID, seasonal affective disorder, but bear indirect effect when people get out in nature and exercise more. As with many assumptions in life, presumed cause-effect relationship can be wrong. Often the key to experiencing the benefits depends on what people do with their opportunities rather than whether they simply have them in the first place. It is clear that the weather strongly influence people who suffer from SAD, seasonal affective disorder. They often experience a depressed affect in winter and abated with the arrival of spring primarily because of increasing their daylight. So for people who suffer from SAD, yet better weather is a blessing indeed. The good news is that SAD is highly treatable, often with light therapy, outdoor activity, and sometimes with medication. If we find our mood is shifting every year, or if we noticed that this fall we just cannot get into the seasons, then seasonal affective disorder could be the culprit, long ones. It can also decrease the access to vitamin D, primarily sources of which is sunlight. Adequate vitamin D intake is key for many basic bodily processes, and vitamin D's insufficiency has been linked to depression. It is likely that better weather provides us with other indirect benefits. For example, nice weather often allows people to get outside and exercise and commune more with nature. Having our residents spend 90 minutes walking through the park resulted in people showing less think, no think deeply, less ruminative thinking and exhibiting the more healthy brain activities. Creative after just a few days of hiking while we are disconnected from technology. So even if the weather itself does not produce significant direct benefits for individuals, getting outside because of nicer weather can improve our health and mental performance through greater connection with nature and more exercise. Daylight savings time means spending less time in natural sunlight. Cold weather, particularly in northern regions, can compound this phenomenon. This increases the risk of depression and can also alter circadian rhythms. Many people feel more tired and less hopeful during the winter months, even when they are not depressed. For some, the lack of adequate daylight may alter their food intakes and hunger levels, so weight gain at the holidays could be due to the hunger signals from our brain. Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and more. Holidays are fun, but will also the work. Pressure to appear to be having fun while working to keep up with their neighbors. Our families and our friends can be overwhelming. There are decorations to buy, meals to make, presents to purchase, and endless events to attend. Skip out on anything and we might feel guilty and like we are not making the seasons sufficiently magical. The summertime, potentially bad time to maintain a romantic relationship, it also tended to be a period when more antisocial behavior occurs. Violent crimes like assault, threat, robberies, sexual assault, the battery guns, there is a strong linear trend of more of those crimes occurring as the temperature increases. Research has shown that hot temperatures increase hostile and friendly augurs fight thoughts and feelings that triggers aggressive actions.